Private Manning says that he leaked the material because he felt the people had the right to know that the U.S. military had little regard for human life when fighting its wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Certainly, there have been worldwide demonstrations in support of the embattled Army private. This going on over the weekend. Thousands rallying here in front of the courthouse where the trial goes on. But also Canada, Germany and even South Korea have also seen similar rallies. And as RT's Marina Portnaya reports, his court-martial process begins at a time when the U.S. is accused of being anything but truthful or transparent.
The military court-martial against Private First Class Bradley Manning begins at a complicated time for the Obama administration. U.S. journalists have been spied on. An unprecedented number of whistleblowers have been imprisoned. And access to the truth, many say, grows increasingly harder by the day.
We have a severe problem with transparency and secrecy in this country, that's for sure. Our problem is a cult of secrecy, extreme levels of dystopian secrecy. Washington classified 92 million documents in the year 2011. That's the last count we have. To put things in perspective, what Bradley Manning leaked is less than 1% of that.
The former Army intelligence analyst has admitted to leaking hundreds of thousands of top-secret military and diplomatic documents to the whistleblowing website WikiLeaks. In February, Manning pleaded guilty to 10 of the 22 charges he faces. The 25-year-old said he wanted the public to know how the U.S. military campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan had little regard for human life.
It should be clear to anybody paying attention that Bradley Manning thought of himself at the time as a whistleblower, that he did what he did because he thought he was making the world a better place, and that contrary to the way he's been represented by some people, he in fact did what he did from a place of sort of patriotism. He's in no way anti-American and has never expressed anti-American sentiments in any way. In fact, he's always said that he is and was driven by a sort of sense of patriotism and a hope that the United States could be the sort of great country that he hoped it would be.
Prosecutors, however, are pursuing a court-martial on the remaining charges, including the Espionage Act and aiding the enemy, which carries a life sentence in prison. In an interview with Democracy Now!, Julian Assange addressed Washington's allegations that Manning aided the enemy by going to WikiLeaks.
If that precedent is allowed to be erected, it will do two things. Firstly, it means it's a potential death penalty for any person in the military speaking to a journalist about a sensitive matter. Secondly, it also embroils the journalist and the publication in that chain of communicating, they would say, to the enemy, and therefore making them susceptible as well to the Espionage Act, which also has capital offences. And that is part of the US, that latter part is part of the US attack on WikiLeaks, including myself.
Bradley, we hope this letter finds you healthy and strong.
Daniel Ellsberg, known as the original whistleblower, leaked 7,000 government documents to the press in 1971, revealing the truth about the Vietnam War. More than 4 decades later, he says the U.S. government is going to even greater lengths to keep the public in the dark.
Call it a war on truth-telling. Truth-telling specifically about truths that the government doesn't want out. Truths about government crimes or lies that the public needs to know to act as a democracy.
If military prosecutors successfully prove that whistleblowing is aiding the enemy, then Bradley Manning could spend the rest of his life in prison. A verdict handed down under a president who promised to usher in an era of transparency when he stepped into the White House. Reporting from New York, Marina Portnaya, RT.